Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. Today's video is concerning my response to a few of the comments recently put out there on my video, An obedient, faithful and content wife is a feminist nightmare. Ooh. So I'll get right into it. Basically, one of the comments was from my assumption is a female saying, like, kind of basically the Quranic ayah, lakum dinukum waliya din. Basically, you know, that's great. Your wife can do what she wants to do if she's happy, and I'm going to do what I want to do as a independent kind of feminist woman. Right, fantastic. That's very true. Each to their own, of course. But my question for the commenter is, do you have children? If so, how many? And is the father present in the household? If you don't have children and you're not married, do you want to have a family, or do you want to be the independent female warrior right all the way through until you've missed the fertility boat and now no longer have the opportunity to embrace the most important role of your life, which is to nurture the next generation of human beings to be a mother? So what my claim was really was the objective push to say that this is better. It is better to sacrifice your worldly desires in order to bring forth the offspring. So, and then there was another comment, in fact, saying, I, you know, as a man myself, I don't like a woman who just says, yes, yes, yes. That's not very attractive to me. So I want to just clarify something, that my wife isn't just like a yes woman. It's not like, again, it's not a dictatorship. Like, I'm a calm, reasonable man. It was part of the obligation I promised in the nikah, in the wedding, in the marriage contract, to live with her in kindness. When we were doing our courtship, we were engaging in an old-fashioned Victorian courtship. That's to say, I didn't touch my wife until the night of the wedding. We met each other's families. We had but two, they weren't even dates because we just had coffee in a public area. But even after that, we're like, it's best if we're with family and other people, because it's all about integrating the families together. A really, really important thing when we're looking for our spouse, for the mother or father of our children, is to get the family involved, because ultimately a child has two sets of grandparents rather, and they're going to be equally, hopefully, as important and meaningful. And as a result, it's probably not going to hurt if they know each other. So what I wanted to say is that, yes, this is not I promised in that courtship to never raise my voice to my wife. Now, anger in Islam, we are told to contain it. If we're angry, to sit down. If we are still angry, to lie down. Goose fraba. If anybody's seen Anger Management with Jack Nicholson and Adam Sandler, relax. And so, yeah, I mean, like, any good partnership is going to entail a fair and reasonable mix. This is what I think we should do. What do you think we should do? Sit down, have conversations. We have marriage meetings, and we plan for the future. We have a shared vision for the future, but obviously we know Allah is the best of planners. And we take on board what one another thinks, and we come to a decision together. But it's in protection of the wife, and the responsibility of the man is to post the letter, so to speak. Often, realistically, it is my wife that is writing the majority of the letter, and I want to make her happy, and I want to have a prosperous family. You know, we're working together for our children, and ultimately, like I say, just it's almost ceremoniously, it just happens to be that the role is that if there has to be a hard decision, you know, leaving the UK, or, you know, when we're going to intend to have children, or moving jobs, or if there's a difficult issue with the family, then, you know, the final decision, what decision means to, is to cut, essentially. That's the etymology of the word. So you have to make a decision, you have to cut away something. In making that decision, you leave the other options behind. And if it's a bad decision, then the weight, the burden, the responsibility lies on the shoulders of the husband. And that again is a beautiful protection for the wife, who, generally speaking, has a more fragile emotional nature. I know ultimately that is trigger city for some people, because we think we're all 100% the same and equal, but that is not the case. So I thought I'd just basically end on this, which is, when choosing a spouse, when choosing the mother to your children, the father to your children, what are you looking out for? So one thing, I think that if a man is not family orientated as a woman, I think you need to just absolutely bin this guy. If he's not family orientated, what he's doing is he's using you. These are facts. He's using you for gratification. It's a selfish arrangement. It's not sexual liberation, 1969 flower power free love. No, this is basically what men are doing now, because they're being given the opportunity, and they're obviously going to take it up, is, I want to be with this person, and that person. Basically corrupt on a macro level the society, because the more people that an individual sleeps with, the harder their ability to pair bond. That's to say that it's going to affect the final, inshallah, relationship you have with the parent of your children. And so it's incredibly short-sighted, it's incredibly selfish. And if you allow somebody to do that, then you've allowed them to do it. It's on you, basically. So if a woman or a man is not family orientated, then they're a waste of time. You're still playing around like you're a teenager at school, and you have the right to do that. It's not illegal. Crack on, lakum dinukum waliya din, unto you your way of life, which is not effective in creating strong families or progeny. And unto us the way of our life, which is strong, rigid boundaries that create a prosperous family and a larger community. So also what we want to do is realize that, unfortunately, again, the reality, trigger city, is sleeping with lots of people outside of marriage brings no benefit to society, also brings no benefit to the individual. So when looking for a mate, looking for the parent to your children, you want somebody who wants to get married. If they don't want to get married, then what are you doing with them? If you want to get married, brilliant. If they want to have children, brilliant. Start with the non-negotiables. Start with, this is what I want, and if you don't fit that criteria, then I'm going to find the person that Allah has willed for me, nice and quick, move on to the next. Because ultimately, we're talking about a contract here. The business arrangement, so to speak, has to line up. And then the fluffy emotions, the lovey-dovey stuff comes afterwards anyway, so you don't have to stress about that. Anyways, that's what I wanted to say. That my wife's not just a yes gal, it's not just yes, 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 everything you say, my lord, wa'udu billah. No, we're a team, it's a team effort, we work together, but in protection and in order to play the role of a supporter, then yes, I post the letter, so to speak. But if my wife wants to go somewhere, we go somewhere. If, you know what I mean? So it's just to kind of say that this is not when I say obedience, the main thing is, this is not, it's an elastic band, basically. The way things currently are, we're talking about someone who is absolutely firm and fierce and boss bay, and God forbid they even acquiesce just a touch. And I'm not saying that my wife is, obviously there's a beauty in shyness and meekness and keeping oneself into, that keeping the private sector private. But ultimately, we need to get things in perspective that at the end of the day, a marriage is a relationship. You are a team, you are working together for each other's best interests. And I just wanted to clear that up, because I think people are thinking like, yeah, you do your thing, I'm happy. Talking about the woman with no children who's not married, who's getting older and older. Okay, you might feel like you're happy now with a disposable income, but if you actually just look at the stats, watch some documentaries, think about where you're going to be in 10 years time, 15 years time, 20 years time, instead of your children moving from primary school to secondary school, moving from secondary school to university, having somebody who you spent decades building and supporting and now is able to do the same for you and become not just an authority figure to this child, but also somewhat of a friend and share life together. If you haven't got that, then you're probably going to feel a little bit let down, because this is something absolutely intrinsic and foundational to human nature. That's even outside of a religious context. It just, as I keep saying, happens to be that the religious context promotes it and supports it. And this is something we need to realize, that if we're just going purely on Darwinian kind of biological atheistic standards, then the Muslims are still kind of the apex example. But another brother made a good comment about the travelers. He's 100% right. Travelers are living in caravans, living a nomadic lifestyle, moving from place to place, and they don't have any luxury in their life, but they're breeding without any issue, and they're learning how to make money, be strong, traditional roles. And so I think that ultimately, yes, the urbanized middle class / elites have absolutely been duped, and I hope everybody finds a spouse soon. But you can't find a spouse unless you're looking for a spouse. You're not going to be able to get married unless you say, I'm looking to get married, because this is not a given. This is not a given anymore. Most people now, it's a hookup culture. You live in your teenage years, in your 20s, into your 30s, and it's Neverland, as they say, Peter Pan. People, their immaturity, their youth is being pushed back and back and back, and people who are becoming 30 years old, oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm 30 years old. It's as if I'm still 15. It's like, no, 30, back in the day, you know, you could enter the Senate in the Roman Empire. You are ready to rock and roll. You're a fully fledged man. Thanks so much for listening. I have been Miles Abu Mustafa, Anglo-Islamic gentleman. Always remember, big up your good selves. Until next time, good folk.